Good evening, everyone. Peace and blessings, family. It's me, Coach 67 Sports TV. Shout out to the awesome and amazing LDBC, Lions Den Boxing community. Shout out to Anthony O'Neill and the Impact Creative Society. Last and not least, shout out to the greatest university in the world, the Southern University, home of the mighty Jaguars. This here is episode 2, HBCU Fanatics. In this particular edition of HBCU Fanatics, we're going to cover MEAC Media Day 2024, which was a week ago. My brother Jared 11 Green and I, we had a couple issues we needed to resolve. So as a result, we couldn't go live, but we pushed things back a week. So here is episode 2 of HBCU Fanatics. I'm going to turn it over to my brother Jared 11 Green. How you doing this evening, bro?
I'm blessed, brother. Thank you for having me on again, man. I appreciate it, man. Blessed to be here again. Like you said, man, we had to push the show back to this week due to personal obligations, but we back. We here now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We blessed and highly favored. So, before we really get it popping off and get it cranked up, we want, give a major shout out to the General 7A Sports TV. And aside from him,
Yes,
just
sir.
everybody's been rocking with us since day one. We started out a couple years ago on the Southern Baller Show on his channel. Y'all be sure to check out the Southern Baller Show every Sunday at 3:30 Central Standard Time. Go check out the Southern Baller Show. Sunday's edition, we just basically, we just had a freestyle session, but we just had open topics, just real good dialogue and conversation with his twin JB, with our brother Brent Fox. It was real good
Yes,
conversation.
sir.
We chopped it up and we just did our thing. But before we get into the heavy meat and potatoes of the show, what's your early impressions of what we saw last week from MEAC Media Day 2024?
Pretty much similar to the SWAC media day, man. A lot of coaches, with two of their players, uh, giving their expectations and what they want their season to be, and just telling what their improvements are, what they need to improve on, and but with me saying that, the two schools that I got my eye on that I'm always high on, you know what I mean? No secret is North Carolina Central and South Carolina State. Even though Howard sneaked, I wouldn't say sneaked, they earned it. They Howard basically um, came away out of a tough MEAC division that was wild last year. Man, it was wide open. You know, um, they made it to the the MEAC championship, and faced FAMU and lost to FAMU in the Celebration Bowl. But not going away from my point, I'm looking highly on North Carolina Central and South Carolina State to continue to dominate and do well. But I would not be surprised if Howard or even Morgan State lets them know that they're here too. They're here to play ball too. So that's my impression, man. Everybody sounding good, and everybody gave their expectations. But at the end of the day, they got to put them pads on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely. And from my perspective, you already know how I feel about these media days. I don't care if it's SWAC Media Day, MEAC Media Day, SEC Media Day. I don't care what the conference. To me, it's just a lot of talking heads. And the irony of this entire situation is, I don't know about MEAC Media Day, but more than likely, I'll probably be at SWAC Media Day 2025 next year if the Lord says the same. But I'm not really big on all talking. But for those individuals that's wondering, of course, we're gonna be here for a good time and not a long time, you dig? But
Yes, sir.
predicted order of finish for the MEAC. They predicted North Carolina Central to win the MEAC. They had four first place votes, and they had a total of 110 points. They predicted Howard to come in second. They also had four first place votes. They had 92 total points. Morgan State was predicted to come in third, one first place vote, 80 points. South Carolina State predicted to come in fourth, two first place votes, 78 total points. Norfolk State next with one first place vote, 50 total points. And lastly, Delaware State, no first place votes and 22 total points. And, speaking of South Carolina State, how do you think Chennis Berry is going to do at South Carolina State in his first year at the helm at South Carolina State? Do you think he can sneak up on some teams and maybe pull a huge upset and win a MEAC, or you think he's just going to kind of feel his way through things and just kind of do things as he move along? Did you hear what I say, bro?
I'm sorry, man. I'm talking on mute, man. But I think he's gonna do his thing, man, because he's familiar with that South Carolina region. The former coach of Benedict College, which is also in South Carolina, they Division II school, but they used to be a bottom feeder, but they've been for the past couple of years they've been playing good ball. Them and Allen University. So he's very familiar with them, that region of football, man. So he should fit in like a glove, man. And that's the reason why they hired him.
Yeah. And, of course, me being a diehard Southern University fan and graduate, do you think him picking South Carolina State, why do you think he picked South Carolina State over Southern? Do you think it was a monetary thing? Do you think he kind of felt snubbed when Southern passed over him for Eric Dooley? What do you think the rationale for him picking South Carolina State over Southern was? Do you think it was more of a monetary aspect of it, or do you think it was more you think it's a better opportunity, or you think it was more familiarity? Which one of those three do you
I
think?
think it was a little bit more familiar, basically a familiar situation. Excuse me, because like I said, he's coached in that area with the Benedict Tigers, Division II ball. And both 2022 and 2023, he had them to go 11-1. Both times in both years. So he's very familiar with that area. So I believe it's more of him just being familiar with that whole region, and he's liking the environment. Now I know, of course, I'm saying that, but of course we don't know the ins and outs of what happened behind closed doors. I'm just giving my speculation.
Yeah,
but that's my opinion, because he been coached. He coached up he resurrected that Benedict program, man. That Benedict. Ask anybody from that South Carolina area, man. That Benedict Tigers have been they've been going through it football wise for years, man, and they've been playing good ball.
Yeah, and I can kind of see your point. You make an excellent point. I think it's more familiarity more than anything. But, it's going to be interesting to see how he does in his first year at South Carolina State. And, hopefully things work out for him. But, like you said, of course, he was the assistant coach at one point at Southern. He was also assistant coach at one point at South Carolina State. I think he seems to be more familiar with that region. So I think you bring up a valid point. Salute to Willie Bolden, who, is one of the huge supporters of the show. We appreciate you, Willie Bolden. He said, Coach, he was on another platform last night. It sounds like Oldham's all right. And he said Southern is not a destination. I have to come to that realization. I'm not going to lie, Willie Bolden, I strongly disagree with that particular point. Even though, Southern seems to be down compared to what it was in the late 90s, early 2000s. I really think this particular season is going to surprise a lot of people. But moving on in terms of the preseason offensive and defensive players of the year for the MEAC, uh, preseason offensive player of the year is predicted to be Jared Hunter from Howard, and preseason defensive player of the year, Kenny Gallup Jr. So the preseason offensive player of the year for the MEAC is Jared Hunter from Howard, and preseason defensive player of the year, Kenny Gallup Jr. from Howard. What do you think about Howard getting both the offensive and defensive preseason player of the year? What are your thoughts on that, bro?
I agree with Jared Hunter. Um, he was if not the one of the greatest or the better running backs in the MEAC last year. He was doing his thing. Now at defense, be honest with you, I haven't been watching enough defense on that side of the HBCU world or MEAC to basically determine whether the young man that they gave it to deserves it or not. But you know who I'm high on, bro. Like I like Manny Smith from North Carolina Central safety.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
You definitely high on him.
so yeah, and who's the young man they gave it to?
Oh, you talking about for you say for preseason? I mean
Correct.
offensive defense.
Defense.
Oh no, defense is Kenny Gallup Jr. from Howard. So Howard has both the offensive preseason player of the year and the defensive preseason player of the year. And you would think the fact that Howard has both the offensive and defensive preseason player of the year, you think they would have been predicted to win the MEAC. But of course, you know, North Carolina Central, you know, I really think they had a better team than Howard last year. You know, even though we, you know, on the Southern Baller Show, we more focused more on the SWAC. You know, we did cover the MEAC a lot, especially leading up to the Celebration Bowl last year. And, you know, even though we focused more on the SWAC, you know, we did, you know, cover the MEAC. And truthfully speaking, you know, I think Howard, they played well last year, but I still think deep down that North Carolina Central had a better team. So I could see why they were picked to be the representative of the MEAC this year in terms of, you know, having the most points and the most first place votes. But truthfully speaking, you would think theoretically, if a team is going to have both the offensive and defensive player of the year, you think they should be, you know, picked to win a conference. What are your thoughts on that particular point?
As far as Howard winning the winning the conference.
The point I'm making is, you know, of course, you know, they picked North Carolina Central to win it and Howard to come in second. But my point is, if you have both the offensive and defensive preseason player of the year, don't you think from a logical standpoint that you would think, even though they might not have a better overall team, but if you have the offensive and defensive player of the year from a theoretical standpoint, don't you think that team should win a conference if they have, you know, the best player on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball? I'm just saying from a theoretical standpoint.
I hear what you're saying, but you would think so, but no. In a real, especially in the MEAC, where, you know, I call the MEAC the a tougher SWAC West. It's wide open, so anybody can get hot. Norfolk State can get hot. Howard can get hot. North Carolina Central definitely can get hot, and South Carolina State. So just because you have two dogs on your roster really don't mean nothing.
Yeah, and of course, you know, Willie Bolden said, "Now I still expect to go 12-0. Don't get it twisted." I am not gonna lie. You know, Southern, my team, I think they're gonna win the SWAC West. I don't see them going 12-0. I think that for me that's a little bit unrealistic, but I definitely expect them to come out the SWAC West. But to my point of what I was saying about Howard, he was like, how does Howard have that many all conference, preseason all conference players and coming second? Basically Willie Bolden, he's kind of saying the same thing I was saying. I mean, not only do they predict them to have the offensive and defensive preseason player of the year, but looking at the first team, looking at the MEAC teams, they have a lot of players on these teams. Now, of course, some people are going to be like, well, hey, they don't have as many players in the MEAC as they do in the SWAC. But still, with that being said, if you have that many players on the preseason teams, you would think they would be the favorite to win the MEAC. And I understand your point, bro, but I'm not even gonna lie. I agree with them saying that North Carolina Central is the team to beat. I agree. That's realistically, I still think
I do
North
too.
Carolina, yeah, I thought North Carolina State had the better team last year. And just to kind of give a rundown of the first team and the first team offense and second team. I'm sorry, first team offense and first team defense. For first team offense in the MEAC, you have quarterback Otto Kuntz from Norfolk State. He's a senior. Jared Hunter from Howard, graduate. He a fifth-year senior. Eaton James Jr. from Howard. Wide receiver Cassie Hawthorne, senior from Howard. Wide receiver Justin Smith Brown, redshirt senior, South Carolina State. Tight end Keyshawn Toney, graduate, South Carolina State. Center Eric Brown Jr., redshirt senior, South Carolina State. Offensive lineman Nick Taste, redshirt senior, South Carolina State. Offensive lineman Cam Johnson, redshirt senior, South Carolina State. Offensive line Travion Branch, senior, Morgan State. Offensive lineman Trayvon Humphrey, redshirt sophomore, North Carolina Central. And offensive lineman Darius Fox, senior, Howard. Now, first team defense, defensive lineman Jaden Taylor, redshirt senior, North Carolina Central. Defensive lineman Elijah Williams, senior, Morgan State. Defensive lineman Jamil Stewart, senior, Howard. Defensive lineman Keyshawn Lynch, redshirt junior, Norfolk State. Linebacker Aaron Smith, redshirt senior, South Carolina State. Linebacker AJ Richardson, sophomore, Norfolk State. Linebacker Eric Hunter, senior, Morgan State. Defensive back Cole Jones, senior, North Carolina Central. Defensive back Kenny Gallup, graduate student, Howard. Defensive back Jamari Benjamin, redshirt senior, South Carolina State. Defensive back Terrian Mallory, graduate, Norfolk State. Punter Juan Velarde, senior, North Carolina Central State. Punter kicker Dylan West, senior, Howard. And deep snapper Keith Jenkins Jr., junior, Morgan State. So that is first team offense and first team defense. And I think Willie Bolden does make a valid point, just looking at in terms of definitely from the skills player standpoint, like, Howard is thoroughly represented. So, it kind of gives a little extra validity, like, hey, they got a lot of players on, the preseason, not only preseason offensive and defensive player of the year, but, in terms of like first team offense and defense. I'm not saying they represented more so than any other team, but to me, just based on, my eye test without actually counting, seemed like they had like the most players on the preseason team, especially from skill player standpoint. To me, if you have that many skill players, on a preseason team, I mean, I don't know, to me seemed like you should be, the front runner to win a conference. But like you always say, we both say this, you might have that on paper, but you actually have to put the pads on it and get out there and play. So I see what you're saying, bro.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
So
look how many players are on the first team for South Carolina State.
Yeah. So I agree with you 100%. I mean, you think it always doesn't translate laid over in the actual, like having actual success? You think it's just a guesstimation? You really don't know.
Yeah, they're just going off of how good they put the certain players played last year, and then expecting them to be the basically carried over to the next year.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And
go
I
ahead.
think you make a valid point, but we even saw that with the SWAC, preseason teams, and just say for example, like me being a die-hard Southern University fan, I think Kelby Gibbons did an excellent job last year, but I think a lot of success he fed off of Taj Brown, and this coming season, he didn't play in the spring, but last spring he had an excellent spring. Him and Trey Lang, and of course Trey Lang jumped in the transfer portal and ended up transferring to Indiana University, going to the Big Ten. But the point I'm trying to make is, a lot of times you don't know how that's going to spin forward. I've seen players over the years, especially from Southern, that pick preseason to do this, do that, and it really didn't pan out. A perfect example last year was Eli Fields. He was predicted to be big, do big things from an offensive line perspective, and he really didn't have that kind of same success. So you're right. I mean, it could kind of go either way. So before we
Yeah,
transition to the second team, what do you have to add to that? You think that pretty much puts a bow on?
yeah, it puts a bow on it, man. It's man, you can't complain about Jared Hunter or Eaton James, man. Especially,
Yeah,
I heard I watched a podcast with Adrian James, man. So um he was talking to Ed Reed, and he was talking about how even though his son had the talent to go to another school, he locked in on Howard. So
yeah.
I'm definitely looking for Eaton James Jr. to do his thing this year, man.
Salute to our brother Jay Barr. Salute Coach
Salute.
67 and 11 Green. So salute to you, Jay Barr. We appreciate your continued support. So let's transition to the second team. Second team, MEAC. We're gonna start on the offensive side. Quarterback Todd Smith, sophomore, Morgan State. Running back Jamari Taylor, senior, North Carolina Central. Running back Kevon King, junior, Norfolk State. Wide receiver Jaquan Davis, senior, North Carolina Central. Wide receiver, I know I'm gonna butcher this young man's name. Richie, I can't pronounce that. Senior, he's a senior from Howard. Tight end, Edward Corey Jr., senior, Delaware State. Center Garrison Wheatley, senior, Norfolk State. Offensive lineman Vincent Bird Jr., junior, Norfolk State. Offensive lineman Tim Artis Jr., redshirt sophomore, Howard. Offensive lineman Samuel Eskerich, sophomore, Norfolk State. Offensive lineman Jaquan Sprinkle, sophomore, North Carolina Central. Second team defense, defensive lineman Nana Asante, senior, Morgan State. Defensive lineman Eric Montez, senior, Delaware State. Defensive lineman Noah Miles, he's a junior from Howard. Defensive lineman Darren Cook, senior, Delaware State. Linebacker Dalen Long, redshirt junior, Norfolk State. Linebacker Terrence Holland, senior, Howard. Linebacker Max Urian, redshirt junior, North Carolina Central. Defensive back Devon Allen, senior, Norfolk State. Defensive back Karvalonsky Deacus, senior, Morgan State. Defensive back Jason Prevort, sophomore, Morgan State.
River, yeah.
Trevor, defensive back Carson Hinton, senior, Howard. Punter Noah Tracy, sophomore, Norfolk State. Punter kicker Graydon Wilcox, junior, Norfolk State. Long snapper Elijah Carter, senior, South Carolina State. And Jalen White, racial junior, Norfolk State. So I don't know. when you look at the first team and the second team, it seems to be pretty well mixed up in terms of who who's on the first team, on the second team. And like we said, like you just finished saying, more than anything, it was pretty much a guesstimation based on what you did last year, because we even talked about that in terms of the SWAC preseason teams. Somebody like Irv Mulligan didn't even make the team. So, and we was like, well, why Irv Mulligan didn't make the team? But evidently you had to have like at least a 75% snap ratio. I guess he didn't get a high enough snap percentage to make the preseason and the preseason SWAC teams. So, more than anything, like you say, is a guesstimation. So based on everything we just went over in terms of hold on real quick, the autism boy, College 81, he said, salute to you, Coach 67 Sports TV. Salute, bro.
Salute.
He said, hey, Coach, great live stream, bro. I appreciate you to the fullest. And he was saying, I appreciate, I 1,000% appreciate the stream. I appreciate you. Salute to you, Autism Boy College 81. But based on salute. But based on what we just talked about in terms of first team, second team, preseason MEAC, what are your thoughts on MEAC Day as a whole overall, and the first and the second team, so on and so forth? What are your overall thoughts in terms of, preseason? I mean, the MEAC Media Day 2024. The coaches talking, the first and second team, offense and defense. What are your overall thoughts?
Okay, now as far as the coaches talking, man, I not gonna lie, I was liking the enthusiasm of Coach Odoms. He was saying he's gonna bring the Mamba mentality to Norfolk State, so we gonna see. And Trey Oliver was up there showing off his rings, and you know what I mean, and I think he was throwing some subliminal shots for Alabama State. He was basically saying, "Oh, they're voted #1, so we in trouble," or something like that. So I think if you ever listen to Trey Oliver do interviews, he does that, man. He's very sarcastic, but he a winner, man. And but yeah, I just loved a lot of coaches spoke with a lot of confidence, man. But we definitely gonna see. Now, as for the first and second team preseason All-Americans, I really don't have no
MEAC.
MEAC, my apologies. MEAC.
Yeah.
I'm kind of disappointed my boy Manny Smith ain't make it. Thought he played good safety for North Carolina Central, but I can't complain, man, about who they got on. Like Max Urine, he played good linebacker for Central. Jared Hunter was the in my opinion the best running back in last year for Howard. Good list, man. I really don't have no debate. Yeah.
Now, transition to talking about Coach Oldham, you and I kind of talked about this behind the scenes. Transitioning from Southern to Norfolk State, it's kind of been a difficult transition. How much longer do you think Norfolk State is going to give him to kind of turn that program around, for one? And second of all, what kind of job you think he's done so far at Norfolk State?
Well, okay. He got, in my opinion, he got 2 years. He got 2 more years to turn Norfolk State around. What year did he get there? I forgot. I know we did a show about it.
Yeah. In fact, I remember we did a show on the Southern Baller Show when he left. He right after that spring campaign with Coach Prime, he left right after that. So that was uh after COVID hit. That was what spring of 20, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken. So he
So been
left
there
right.
for almost for almost 4 years.
Yeah, something like that. Because you remember he smacked Coach Prime good when they played in the spring, and then after that, you know, instead, he wanted a contract extension from Southern because his contract was up. And that's one thing Southern's brass, they never really bought into him because one, he wasn't a Coach P. Richardson disciple, and not only that, but he wasn't a local guy from Baton Rouge, from Louisiana, New Orleans, whatever, these surrounding areas. They felt like he was more of a North Carolina guy. So Southern brass and administration, they never really bought into him. And the thing about it is, like our brother, Black Fight fan used to say, Jaguar country, we piss excellence. As you can see, Willie Bolden, he said he expect us to go 12-0. And Southern fans, I don't think I'm gonna say a certain percentage of Southern fans, they really didn't appreciate Coach Odom's. One thing about him, he beat all the teams he was supposed to beat, but he could never get over that Alcorn State hump. And as a result, a lot of fans, they was like, hey, we expect to go undefeated every year. We expect to win the SWAC every year. We expect to win Celebration Bowls every year. And he's just not cutting the mustard. And as a result, a certain percentage of Jaguar Nation, he couldn't please them, even though he won a SWAC championship in 2013, and he had, some legendary players on that particular team, like Willie Quinn, like Leonard Tillery, like Dre Joseph, like Lee Doss. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I guess they figured he didn't win enough, but I think the thing that Norfolk State didn't, I don't know, I'm not gonna say they didn't realize, but he inherited a tough situation, especially coming from Southern, where he had, all the resources and all the talent. Even though, they had talent when Stump Mitchell was the head coach. Stump Mitchell just was a trash coach. And he really didn't know how to fully utilize the talent. His game management was trash, his clock management, his decision making. Basically, he was Eric Dooley on steroids. And I remember one game, Dre Joseph was in the game and he was playing well. And for no apparent reason, he pulled him and put Jeremiah McGinty in it because they were the same classification. And he put McGinty in the game for no reason. I'm like, why did he pull Dre Joseph? So it was just stupid decisions like that pretty much, allowed Coach Odom to take over. But the thing that really got Coach Odom is the fact that, he not a Pete Richardson disciple, or he not a guy that's from Louisiana. And he not only that, but he didn't recruit the local area. He recruited a lot from North Carolina and from that region. So, a lot of members of I'm not gonna say a large percentage. In fact, I would say maybe about 50% of Jaguar Nation never really fully bought into him. And some of the same issues Southern have to this day, like the lack of discipline in terms of all the penalties. They didn't turn the ball over as much under Coach Odom, but they did some. But of course, it really bit him in the butt. That last WAC championship game, he coaching against Alcorn State. But at the end of the day, it's been difficult for him to make the transition from Southern to North Carolina. I'm sorry, Norfolk State. So hopefully he could turn it around. Unlike another, some members of Jaguar Nation, I always wished him luck and wished him success. I felt like he got a raw deal. He just couldn't get over that Alcorn State hump, but he beat everybody else he was supposed to beat. And the crazy thing about it, Grambling defensive coordinator now, interim head coach at the time, Jason Rollins. The next year he lost to Texas Southern. And that's one thing Coach Odom, he didn't do. He didn't lose to Texas Southern. For the exception of Alcorn, he beat all the teams he was supposed to beat. He didn't drop games he was supposed to win. So, but I hope he turns it around. And not only that, but like you're saying, looking at, MEAC Media Day as a whole, whether we talking about, Trey Oliver, like you say, his sarcasm, it is kind of what it is. Like I say, I'm not a big fan of these, media days and so on and so forth. But one thing we was talking about behind the scenes, it seemed like, a couple of these I'm not gonna say love, but a couple of these MEAC coaches, they seen think, hey, they better in the SWAC. So in terms of top to bottom, which conference you think is a better conference, or you think it's too difficult to say?
Right now, it's too difficult to say because there's been a whole bunch of transformations going on with the conferences and the ball club. So at the time, MEAC was smacking the SWAC, but now FAMU got a win with a former MEAC team. Mm-hmm. So I want to say MEAC does have the upper hand, but I don't think it's going to be a different story in years to come. I definitely believe that.
Yeah, and not only that, you and I talked about this behind the scenes. Having the Celebration Bowl moved up. The SWAC, they have to, whoever comes out of the SWAC in terms of winning the SWAC championship, they have to transition straight from the SWAC championship game directly into the Celebration Bowl. How much of a competitive advantage you think it gives the MEAC for the Celebration Bowl this coming season?
Very much, man. Like the SWAC team, whoever makes it to the Celebration Bowl, they just played the SWAC championship. Mm-hmm. So they're not gonna have that much time to heal from injuries or have much time to prep for their opponent or study their opponent versus the MEAC school that is on the other side sitting there waiting on the Celebration Bowl day. They got plenty of time. So it's definitely a huge advantage, man. But it could backfire. But my only thing is this is not the NFL. A lot of these, especially being real HBCU, they don't have the medical capabilities like the NFL to heal injuries or do other things. They don't have the financial backing. Of course. So these are young athletes who just trying to make it happen. So, but yeah, it does have an advantage for the MEAC. It gives an advantage to the MEAC as far as timing.
Bro, I agree 100%. And of course, we saw it this past season in a Celebration Bowl. And the crazy thing about it, at least fam, you had a week off in between the SWAC championship game and the Celebration Bowl. This coming season, you won't even have that week. And not only that, but Howard had been there, sitting waiting for a minute, whereas, fam, you have to win the SWAC championship. And we saw it in the actual Celebration Bowl from the perspective of, Howard came out early. He punched FAMU in the mouth. They really gave it to him and took it to him early, whereas FAMU struggled and they really didn't get their footing until in the second half, like later in the game. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm thinking to myself, man, I felt like FAMU had a much better team than Howard, but it took them a while to really gain their footing.
Yeah, they were trying to shake off the rust, and it's funny. Howard was just a few plays away from winning that game.
Yeah, without question.
If you remember, they threw an interception and they had a fumble.
A bad fumble.
They had multiple interceptions actually.
Yeah.
So if without them interceptions, they probably looking for another win for the MEAC.
Yeah, without question. And the crazy thing about it is, I wasn't used to seeing FAMU that flustered because, they, even though they didn't play like an outstanding game against Southern, I think they played that same game against Southern that they played. I mean, had they played that same game against Howard, they played that same game against Southern, and like they lose at AW Stadium. So, they struggled early, and it kind of goes to show you that whole rest versus rust theory, Where in that instance, the rest won out because Howard just seemed so much crisper and fresher coming into the game and at the start of the game, and it seemed like for a good portion of the game, FAMU just was lethargic. They made a lot of stupid mistakes, and they didn't just have any rhythm. It just took them till later in the game to really gather that rhythm. And like you were saying, in all actuality, Howard was only like a few plays away from winning the Celebration Bowl. So it really could have went either way,
Definitely, man. It was definitely a good game, man, and it definitely could have went either way. But going back to, because you're looking up some information, going back to the Coach Oldham's question, man. Check this out. The year 2021, when he first took over the program, he had them boys 6-5, right?
Yeah.
2022, 2-9. 2023, 3-8.
Wow.
Now, 6-5. Okay, that's
respectable.
That's okay. That's respectable.
But
you notice a downfall in the next two seasons. Now, these two, in my opinion, he could be fired next year. I don't know. My opinion, he has 2 more seasons to try to turn Norfolk State around. If not, he's out the door. And it's not his fault. He took over a program that was already struggling. He's just trying to turn crap into chicken salad at this point.
Yeah. Go from chicken crap to chicken salad. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. But yeah, I mean that's a very interesting take. And that's one thing about it. Over the years, if you look at the SWAC versus MEAC challenge, a lot of times, you really can't tell because it's so early in the season when you have the SWAC and the MEAC challenge. And in the other instances, I've seen like teams, the same 2 teams playing the SWAC and MEAC challenge, like Southern and Howard, and Southern smack them in the SWAC versus MEAC challenge, then they turn around and play them in the Heritage Bowl, the Celebration Bowl now, and turn around and lose to them. So too early in the season is too early to really tell, and later in the season it depends on what type of game. So like you said, it's really kind of difficult to tell which conference is the better conference. Of course, me being a SWAC guy, I'm not even gonna lie to you, bro. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm leaning heavily, not even leaning heavily. I'm gonna say the SWAC is a better conference. I think the thing that would make the MEAC a better conference if you added North Carolina A&T back to the fold, if you added Tennessee State, if you added Hampton. I think if you added those 2 teams, I really think that would elevate the MEAC on an even playing field with the SWAC, maybe a little bit above them. But I think that's the thing that really makes a difference. If you had North Carolina A&T, if you had Tennessee State, if you had Hampton, I think those things put you on the top. But where I'm sitting, I think the SWAC is a better conference. Oh yeah, and just to answer your question, Autism Boy Cottage 81. Yeah, bro, I'm gonna pull your bunch. As soon as I get everything straight on my end. But what are your thoughts on in terms of North Carolina A&T maybe? In my opinion, I think leaving the MEAC was a mistake. I'm pro-black, so I feel like, don't get me wrong, I don't have any issue with HBCU like reaching occasionally to play EWIs to see where they are in terms of a litmus test. But in terms of I'm gonna leave the HBCU conference altogether. I wasn't in favor of that. So I think that's the thing. The MEAC to a whole nother strategy. If North Carolina A&T joined, if they added Hampton and Tennessee State, I think that would do wonders. But Do you think North Carolina leaving MEAC was a mistake, bro? What are your thoughts on
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think they should have stayed in the MEAC. We talked about this offline, man, and you know exactly what I'm gonna say, man. I think they thought they were better than they were, and they don't get me wrong. North Carolina A&T is an awesome program, football program. Matter of fact, I call them the big brother of North Carolina Central. Um, I think they edge North Carolina Central over between their rivalry, but they do. But they should have stayed in the MEAC. Um, I guess they thought because how they was dominating in the MEAC and even beating a couple of GWI schools, the lower level schools like a Sun Belt program. They thought they could, go to another conference, one of the most dominant conferences in the FCS, and they're having a rough go of it. I'm hoping they can, even though I disagree with them moving out the MEAC, I'm still rooting for them. I'm still hoping they, overcome their hardships. But yeah, they, in a nutshell, they should stay in the MEAC. Man.
Yeah, bro, I agree 100%. To me, I feel like, it's not like sticking with your own. That's like if you gave me an opportunity to lead the LDBC, maybe do something that's perceived to be. If you know that I didn't say something better, perceived to be better. Nah, I'm gonna stick within my comfort zone. I'm gonna do what I do. I don't understand why the other folks ice is always colder. Me personally, I feel like stick with your own. I mean, even like the Negro League, something like that. I think that could have been something phenomenal, astronomical. Without integration, even with integration, if you your own league, the NBA doesn't become what it becomes, the NFL doesn't become what it becomes, without the integration of black players. So I mean, that's just me. Of course, I'm a pro-black individual. I graduated from Southern University, so that's my take on it. But overall,
of course, that comes with it, brother.
Oh yeah, without question. So, just to kind of wrap it up and kind of put a bow on things, what's your final thoughts on MEAC Media Day 2024?
I like what I was hearing. Like I said, Trey Oliver was stunting, man, showing that ring off, and Coach Odom said he's gonna try to bring the mama mentality to Norfolk State. So I'm ready, man. I already picked my two, who I think is teams are gonna be around the top of the division. That's North Carolina Central and South Carolina State. Hoping them to get back on track. But overall, I like what I was hearing. But like I said, at the end of the day, they got to suit up, put them pads on, and we will see.
Yeah, without question. Things look good on paper, but you actually have to get on the field and prove it. And of course, as usual, I picked North Carolina Central myself to win a MEAC, but like you said, you have to get on the field and prove it. And my overall impressions of MEAC Media Day 2024, I mean, I think it was good for what it was, I mean, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how the rivalry between the SWAC and the MEAC, how it continues to grow, and which team is going to be standing victorious at the Inner Celebration Bowl at the end of the season. Before we shut it down, my brother Jared 11 Green, tell everyone where they can find you here in these YouTube streets.
Yes, sir. I appreciate the shout out, brother. Yes, you can find me. You can literally type in Jared 11 Green, as you can see under my icon, and you can see that I have basically a show called Southern Baller Show, which we have it every Sunday around 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So yeah, come and check me out. We talk about also HBCUs and not just HBC. We talk about all sports, football, basketball, but mainly football. We are mainly football channel, but we're not too shy on dipping into other sports as well. So check our brother out.
Yeah, and of course, we definitely gonna wrap it up. Football season is right around the corner. You have training camp in the NFL. We had SWAC Media Day, MEAC Media Day last week. So, football season is upon us. It'll be here before you know it. And before we shut down, of course, like my brother said, check him out on his show, Southern Baller Show. Him, his twin JB, myself. Occasionally we have our brother Jay Good, on rare occasions. The brother Big Joe Townsend, the brother
Yes, sir.
Fox. Also go check out our brother Brent Fox. He has his own YouTube channel. He has his own show. It's just me starring Brent Fox. He also occasionally does series. He does excellent content. Go check out our brother Brent Fox. Also, go check out our brother Cadillac Red, Supreme Beast Boxing Talk.
You do, yes.
He has a couple shows, BSN on the Beltway, Views from the Lack. He has a couple different shows on his channel. Also, go check out our brother Trill Will. Check him out.
Yes, sir.
So, we want you to check out all of our brothers here in the LDBC, and also, one of my good friends outside of LDBC, my good friend Lindell Mitchell, Louisiana All American Sports Network. He and I going to continue to foster our relationship. During the football season in terms of high school and middle school football championship games, high school basketball here in the state of Louisiana. So go check out his channel, Louisiana All American Sports Network, where he does interviews with different coaches in the surrounding areas in terms of high school coaches, some college coaches. He also has, actual games in terms of if you're looking for championship games on the middle school level for football and basketball, so on and so forth. High school football in the state of Louisiana, he does an excellent job. Also, check me out on all social media platforms at Coach 67 Sports TV on all social media platforms, on Instagram, on X, which is formerly known as Twitter, on TikTok, on all these social media platforms. We appreciate everybody that really been rocking with us since day one, everybody that supported the show to the fullest. Major shout out to Willie Bolden, who always shows up and show out. The brother Jay Barr, the Autism Boy, Cottage 81. We appreciate all of y'all that dropped in, show major love and support.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Major shout out to Motivation to Be a Millionaire, Relaxing Calm Rain, who also shows major love and support. We appreciate everybody. Remember, check us out Sunday on his channel, the Southern Baller Show. We'll catch y'all on the rebound. Oh, also, the Coaches Show here on my channel, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on Saturdays. We appreciate y'all showing love and support. We'll catch y'all on the rebound. Y'all have a blessed, phenomenal evening. Peace and blessings.
Y'all be